The lights of the Got Talent España stage glow softly as the audience settles, unaware that they are about to witness something completely outside the usual boundaries of musical performance. A single performer walks out, calm and almost understated, dressed simply, carrying no elaborate props. The judges exchange polite smiles, expecting perhaps another classical musician or a standard rock act. The performer sits at the piano, takes a slow breath, and begins with Mozart. The notes are pure, precise, and elegant, flowing with the kind of discipline that only years of classical training can create. Every keystroke feels respectful to the composer, and the audience relaxes into the familiarity of refined harmony. It feels safe, beautiful, and predictable. Then, in a single heartbeat, everything changes. The gentle classical phrasing explodes into raw power as the music transforms instantly into ACDC. The piano becomes a weapon of energy, pounding rhythms replacing delicate melodies. The shift is so sudden, so clean, that gasps ripple through the theater. The audience erupts in disbelief, some laughing, others shouting in excitement. The judges' expressions freeze in shock before turning into wide smiles. What makes the moment extraordinary is not just the speed of the transition, but the total mastery of both worlds. This is not parody or chaos, it is precision. The performer moves between classical elegance and rock rebellion as if the two styles have always belonged together. As the performance continues, the musician toys with expectations, jumping back and forth between Mozart's refined structure and ACDC's explosive attitude. Fingers fly across the keys, posture shifting with the mood, face reflecting absolute control. Each transition is sharper than the last, proving that this is not a gimmick but a carefully crafted artistic vision. The crowd rises to its feet before the final note even fades. When the music stops, there is a brief silence, the kind that follows something unforgettable, before the theater erupts in thunderous applause. The judges stand, clapping above their heads, clearly aware they have just seen something rare. In the second episode, the performer returns with a confidence that now fills the room before a single note is played. The judges are eager, the audience buzzing with anticipation, wondering how such a moment can possibly be topped. This time, the act begins again with classical precision, but there is a playful tension in the air. Everyone knows what is coming, yet no one knows exactly when. The musician stretches the opening, weaving Mozart's melody with subtle variations, teasing the crowd, almost daring them to guess the moment of transformation. When the shift finally happens, it is even more dramatic than before. The transition into ACDC is not just fast, it is explosive, layered with rhythm and attitude, pushing the piano beyond what most people believe it can do. The performer's body moves with the beat, channeling the spirit of a rock guitarist through black and white keys. The audience screams, claps, and stomps along, completely engaged. The judges exchange looks of disbelief, shaking their heads, laughing, and applauding mid-performance. What elevates the second performance is the emotional storytelling. The musician is no longer just switching styles but blending them, allowing classical themes to reappear inside the rock sections and rock rhythms to influence the classical moments. It feels like a conversation between centuries, proving that music has no fixed borders. By the end, the performer stands, soaking in the applause, eyes shining with the satisfaction of having connected deeply with everyone in the room. When the judges finally speak, their praise is unanimous. They call it fearless, brilliant, and unforgettable. The audience leaves knowing they have witnessed pure genius, not because of speed alone, but because of vision, discipline, and the courage to break musical rules in the most spectacular way possible. As the competition moves forward, the atmosphere around the performer becomes charged with expectation. By the time episode 3 arrives, the musician is no longer a surprise act but a phenomenon. The audience enters the theater already buzzing, whispering about the genius who can travel between centuries in the blink of an eye. When the performer steps onto the stage, the applause begins instantly, filled with admiration and curiosity. There is a quiet confidence in the way they sit at the piano, as if fully aware that expectations are higher than ever. The first notes begin softly, once again rooted in classical tradition, but this time the performance feels more mature, more intentional. Mozart flows beautifully, yet there is an underlying tension, a sense that something greater is building beneath the surface. Instead of an immediate switch, the musician slowly bends the classical melody, adding darker chords, heavier accents, and sharper rhythms. The audience leans forward, sensing the transformation before it happens. When AC/DC finally crashes into the room, it is not a shock but a triumph. The transition feels earned, like the climax of a story rather than a sudden trick. The piano roars with power, echoing the spirit of electric guitars and pounding drums. The performer's hands move with breathtaking speed, yet every note is clear, controlled, and purposeful. The judges are visibly stunned, watching not just a display of talent but a full artistic evolution happening in real time. What makes Episode 3 unforgettable is the way the performer connects emotionally with the crowd. They pause at moments, letting silence speak before launching back into sound. The blend of styles becomes more complex, with classical phrasing hidden inside rock rhythms and rock energy reshaping classical harmony. The audience responds instinctively, clapping along, cheering after each daring transition. When the final note lands, the theater explodes with applause that seems to last forever. The judges rise again, some laughing in disbelief, others visibly moved. Their comments reflect a deeper respect, recognizing that this is no longer just a clever concept but a powerful musical identity. By Episode 4, the stakes are at their highest. The performer returns for what feels like a defining moment, carrying the weight of previous triumphs. The stage lights are brighter, the silence heavier. The musician closes their eyes before playing, as if grounding themselves for something deeply personal. The opening is softer than ever, almost fragile, with Mozart played in a way that feels intimate and vulnerable. The audience grows quiet, completely absorbed, sensing that this performance is about more than technical brilliance. When the transition comes, it is breathtaking not because of speed, but because of emotion. The shift into AC/DC is fierce, passionate, and raw, like a release of everything held back. The piano seems to transform into a full rock band, filling the theater with sound and energy. The performer's body moves freely now, no longer restrained by formality, fully embracing the music's power. The crowd erupts, some people jumping to their feet, others shouting in pure excitement. The judges are no longer just watching, they are feeling it, nodding along, swept up in the intensity. As the performance builds toward its conclusion, the musician weaves both worlds together one last time, allowing Mozart and AC/DC to coexist in a final, triumphant fusion. It feels symbolic, a statement that tradition and rebellion can live side by side. The final chord echoes, and for a split second there is stunned silence before the theater explodes into the loudest applause of the season. Tears shine in some eyes, including those of the judges, who struggle to find words worthy of the moment. When the performer stands and bows, the ovation continues, unstoppable. It is clear that this journey has reached something extraordinary. What began as a jaw-dropping trick has evolved into a story of courage, creativity, and musical freedom. In that moment, everyone knows they have witnessed something truly special, a performance that will be remembered long after the lights fade and the stage goes dark.